Welcome, I'm Tim Scoggins, Chair of the Shaftsbury Select Board, and I'm calling this meeting of the Shaftsbury Select Board to order at 6:39 on Monday, February 18th, 2019. Let me mention to the folks at home, we had a few technical difficulties getting started here. It's not all our camera person's fault. We also asked her to wait for Art to arrive, which he has not done yet.
About two.
And so we're having a little audio problems. The audio problems are in the live broadcast only. In a day or two, if you go to the Shaftsbury website, shaftsburyvt.gov, you will get a link to the online replay via YouTube of this meeting, and I'm told the audio will be full quality there. But tonight we're having to speak up and yell across the room, so we apologize for that. Gentlemen, does anyone here have a conflict of interest with anything appearing on the agenda this evening?
No, sir.
No. First up, approval of minutes. We have minutes from our last meeting on February 4th. Is there a motion to approve the minutes for February 4th as circulated?
So moved.
Moved by Joe,
Second.
second by Ken. Any additions, corrections, comments on the minutes? All in favor of approving the minutes for February 14th as circulated, say aye.
Aye.
So those minutes are approved by a vote of 3-0-0. Next up, warrants. On top, I have payroll warrant number 16 in the amount of $32,140.99.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved from Ken.
Second.
Second by Joe. Any discussion on payroll warrant number 16?
No, sir.
All in favor of approving payroll warrant number 16, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So payroll warrant number 16 in the amount of $32,140.99 is approved 3-0-0. And next I have check warrant number 24 in the amount of $221,882.67.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve from Ken.
Second.
Second by Joe. Items over $1,000 here are $1,100 to Allied Auto Parts. I see bunch of Allied Auto Parts here. It's something break.
That's kind of routine maintenance
Okay.
things. Some things are kind of expensive.
I see we've got a credit also from Allied Auto Parts of $212. American Rock Salt 4, $4,900, $2,800, $1,600. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Vermont for $3,400. Delury Sales and Service for $1,300, $1,100.
Had a repair, Dave?
Yes, they're both repairs.
Dolores, yeah.
Yeah.
GA Bow Fuels for $1,800, $2,100, $1,700, $2,500. Do those normally cluster like that?
Yeah. It's we had a lot of deliveries, fuel, a lot of heating fuel because it had been a little bit behind on deliveries.
Okay.
Well, that's a combination of buildings and trucks.
That's buildings, trucks, everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got Morse Repair for $4,200. And we have Russell Construction Services for $153,000. And TAM for $8,300. VRS Sales for $1,500. I don't know that one.
VRS, that's service for all the pumps on all the fire trucks.
And William E. Daly for $9,900. And those are the major items on there. Any other discussion? All in favor of approving check warrant number 24, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So check warrant number 24 in the amount of $221,882.67 is approved 300. Are there any announcements? I will remind everyone that town meeting is coming up on March 4th in a couple of weeks. Town meeting here at the school in the gymnasium at 7 o'clock. The school part starts at 6 o'clock, if I recall. I'm not sure about that. I believe it's at 6. Beck, am I right about that?
Oh, don't ask me.
Okay. And then Australian ballot on community appropriations and bylaws changes and officer elections are the next day from 7 to 7 at the firehouse. Also, I would remind everyone that we have open positions on the Planning Commission and the DRB. If you would like to serve the town in either of those capacities, let us know with a letter of interest. All you have to do is send an email or call Dave Kiernan, the town administrator. Again, you can find all his contact information at shaftsburyvt.gov. Public comments? I see no members of the public here. Treasurer's report? I don't see a treasurer, and I did not get a report from her.
No, there won't be a treasurer's report this week.
Okay. Town meeting planning. I believe we are well on track for town meeting planning as the one thing I wanted to bring up, we discussed recognizing Alice for her 22 years of service. Your idea of a plaque is on order. We also were talking about a resolution of thanks from the select board. I circulated something today. I don't know if y'all had time to see it because it was going through drafting today. But let me bring that up. Here we go. So what I'd be looking for here is I'll read this, we'll move on it, and then if it's approved, we'll print it up nicely and frame it and hand her that along with the plaque. What I have is a resolution by the Shaftsbury Select Board on the occasion of Alice Miller's retirement from the Vermont Legislature. Whereas Alice Miller has represented the Bennington 3 district, including the town of Shaftsbury, in the Vermont House of Representatives for 22 years. And whereas Alice also served for years on the Shaftsbury Select Board, sometimes concurrently with her legislative service. And whereas Alice devoted her life to public service as an educator, working for the Red Brick Schoolhouse, the Brattleboro School District, the Vermont Department of Education, and Bennington College. And whereas during her public service career, Alice was devoted to protecting our most vulnerable citizens, including children, the disabled, veterans, and the elderly. And whereas Alice proved herself a tireless advocate for children and adults in the fields of education and job training, working hard to support and obtain funding for the local Career Development Center and our local schools. And whereas Alice has served with boundless energy, enthusiasm, integrity, dedication, and grace. And whereas Alice always had a smile and a kind word for everyone she meets. And whereas in the course of being elected 11 consecutive times, Alice knocked on every door in town more than once. Therefore, be it resolved that the Shaftsbury Select Board, on behalf of the people of Shaftsbury, expresses its deep appreciation to Alice for her decades of service and wishes her peace and happiness in her retirement and future endeavors. So I would move that the Select Board adopt this resolution. Can I get a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Nope.
All in favor of approving the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So that resolution is approved by a vote of 300. Thank you, gentlemen.
You're welcome. Boy, she'll be missed.
Hmm?
She'll be missed.
Yes, she will.
Yeah.
Trying to think if there's anything else we need to say about town meeting. There are some zoning bylaws that are being voted on. on Tuesday after town meeting. And rather than try to recite the particulars from memory, I would refer people to the recent column I had in the Banner this last week describing those. Also, you can go to our town website and find information about those. And I think that's all we need to cover relative to town meeting. So we'll move on to item 9, BRC contract for the town plan and broadband survey. We have talked about doing this. We've got contracts. We just need to formally approve and sign. These got circulated. We have one contract for the work on the town plan. Recall that we had sought a municipal planning grant for this work. We didn't get it. We usually get it. So we increased the 2020 budget by the $3,500 that we were planning to pay BCRC to do maps and gather statistics and help us write and everything they always do for us come town plan time. And they were agreeable to postponing getting any payment until the new fiscal year kicks in on July 1, so that's also in the contract. So I would be looking for a motion to approve the agreement between the town of Shaftsbury and BCRC for assistance with town plan as it was circulated.
So moved.
Moved by Ken,
And second.
seconded by Joe. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So that agreement with BCRC is approved by a vote of 3-0-0, and it only requires my signature. And the other one that we have is an agreement with BCRC for assistance with the broadband survey that we've been talking about doing, which they are already helping us on. Michael Batcher has put the survey together online. The first part of it is going to be an online survey, and then depending on how much response we get, from that we'll gauge how much further we have to go with mailing and knocking on doors and that sort of thing to expand it. But he's already helping with that, and it's out now for test responses to see if people like and understand the questions. And as soon as we have that finalized, we'll put it up on the town website, and then we'll start advertising it around town with signs to tell people, we want to know if you don't have internet service, go here and answer this survey. And so that agreement is for $2,000, and that is going to be paid out of the Economic Development Fund. So that will be billed quarterly, starting the next time next quarter when they decide to bill us. So I'm looking for
2,000 a quarter
2,000 total
for the year.
for this whole project.
The whole project.
Whatever we
Okay.
need,
Okay.
essentially whatever help I ask for with the broadband survey.
So
Yeah.
moved.
Moved by Ken,
Second.
seconded by Joe. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So this agreement between the town of Shaftsbury and BCRC for assistance with the broadband survey is approved 3-0-0.
Does that go to the state, Tim, once it's done?
The information?
Yeah.
It can. I have been in communication with the fellow at the PUC who did the cell phone survey that you may have read about in the paper VT Digger, where he got the state to buy him 6 different cell phones, hooked them up to 6 different carriers, and drove all over the state mapping the survey.
That was a waste of time.
But
Not
no,
really,
that-
because
No, I just,
Collect some great data that
but
way.
you can't believe a cell phone company.
that was the take home from this, and you know,
Right.
it was important information because the cell phone companies get money based on what they promise to do, and
Right, and what their map shows their services is no relation to what it actually is.
that's right. That's right. I have been talking to Corey. I can't remember his last name now, who did the survey, and he has said he would loan us the equipment. And I said, if he would loan us the equipment, I'll drive every road in Shaftsbury with his 6 cell phones on my dashboard, and we can cover Shaftsbury as to the full extent that we can. And he said he would fold that data from Shaftsbury back into the state part about, so that would fill in the information on cell phone coverage. Now, as far as the broadband survey for internet coverage, Comcast and Consolidated and VTEL, I haven't specifically been asked or sought whether or not that information would go to the state. I'm sure there is a place for it to go, because our first step there is to pull down the information that they already have.
Yeah.
The information there can, some of it we can expect to be more reliable, because the information for where Comcast covers and where
Yeah.
Consolidated covers, that's measured by where they've laid wires, so there's really less doubt about that. What VTEL covers with their wireless broadband coverage is something that we'll need to verify more.
Right. And I don't think, as far as trying to get more development in the state, either adding to either one of those is probably the best thing you could do. To the broadband and the cell phone.
Yes, I
Coverage is funny though, because you can be in one part of your house and have excellent service and walk to the other end of your house and have nothing. So
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a long, I'm good with a cell phone that weighs 20 pounds.
yeah.
Well,
Satellite
it's-
phone, yeah.
I just, my own understanding of it. I think it's maybe some of the stuff that's in your house has got more effect on it than anything else. Maybe I'm wrong, but
well, your question about, whether, one of the questions on the broadband survey is what's more important, that we expand cell phone coverage, or that we expand internet connectivity to the places that don't have it. And I think it's
It's kind of a catch-22, because you do need cell service, so in case of emergencies, that's pretty important. If you can reach out by computer to somebody for help, that's okay too, I guess. As long as you can get the message out there.
Well, one thing that might make us go slowly with cell phone coverage is this FirstNet thing that's happening, the first responders cell phone network that is, as we speak, being expanded nationwide, and we have already received PUC notifications of AT&T, the contractor for FirstNet, wanting to add more antennas to the Buck Hill antenna out there. So part of the FirstNet build-out is to expand cell phone coverage so that first responders can go anywhere and talk on their cell phones with priority connectivity. And a side benefit of that is that when the first responders are not needing priority connectivity, that bandwidth will go to regular users. So we can expect our cell phone coverage to get better as a result of FirstNet, for AT&T at least.
That sounds good.
While we're talking about the broadband thing, I got a notice this week that the USDA, Department of Agriculture, is offering grants, not loans, grants, and these are relatively rare, to rural communities to pay people like Comcast to run their cables into areas that are not economical for Comcast to run on their own, which is exactly the kind of thing that we've been thinking this broadband survey would point out for us is, the Comcast goes, halfway down Shaftsbury Hollow. If we want it to go all the way, Comcast wants you to pay $50,000 or whatever it is they want to run that wire that much further, because they just don't think they'll ever recover the cost. The U.S. Department of Agriculture, which has community development funds for rural communities, is offering grants between $100,000 and $3 million for just that type of thing, which we should think seriously about applying for. Um, Especially if we can get a good part of our broadband survey done in time to apply, which is April 15th, which is going to be a sprint.
When's the deadline for the grant?
April 15th.
Also.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so
That's bad.
that's a little faster,
Yeah.
about a month faster than we were hoping to get the broadband survey spun up, but it occurs that, something that might move us to the front of the line, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of communities clamoring to get these
Oh, yeah,
funds,
yeah.
is if we have hard data, if we can go to
Yeah.
and say, yeah, we've been attacking this
Factual
problem
backed
ourselves.
data,
Here's what we found out, we just need it here, here, and here. The thing we have to keep in mind is a 15% match. So, the minimum amount is 100,000, so that would be 15,000 that we would have to come up with. I think it would be great if we could, solve the problem with, say, $300,000, and it would cost us $45,000, and then we could advertise that everywhere in Shaftsbury is connected to broadband internet service. That would put us a step ahead of a lot of people in attracting people to the area.
Come
And
to live, yeah.
as Art said a few meetings ago, he's talked to real estate agents who said, yes, we lose sales when people get to the point they're saying, finding out it's a beautiful house and beautiful land, but you won't get internet there.
Yeah. And that's so important.
Yeah.
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 In today's world, it's a lifeline. People need
Yeah.
it.
Yep, it is. Okay, so we got our contract signed, we talked about the survey, about the grants. Item 10 is Lister Assessor Clerk position.
I just want to remind the board that we're moving to that position. Some background, for many years, the town has hired a professional assessor. Professional assessor is an expensive position, because there aren't that many that are qualified around the state. However, most of the time, they are not actually assessing properties, they're doing the list of work that's required to update the NIMRIC system. So Reedsboro, Norwich, and several other towns are moving to a Lister assessor clerk. And they contract with NIMRIC, who runs the computer system and the camera system. And this person will do the preparation for the professional assessor to come in on contract, and we've contracted with NIMRIC to provide the assessor. And then do the data entry and the paperwork and keep up the system, the grand list, and assist the listers with their projects too. The cost is less than a third of what we were paying a professional assessor to be in. And the contract with NIMRIC still doesn't even make up what we were paying a professional assessor for. And it's also setting a stage for, as we transition, as many towns have, and as we're aware here, there's a lister position open, no one put in for it. Many towns are having trouble finding people to be listers, because like everything, it's getting more complicated. So eventually, I envision this position as being the hub of the lister assessor network and dealing with NIMRIC and keeping up the grand list, so that we're ready to go in any direction. Because at some point, we'll have to do a townwide evaluation, not anytime soon, but at some point. So now is a good time to break someone into the position and get someone trained, because can be complicated. There are a lot of things. We're going to have the state assist us by putting it on their listserv, and because they have a lot of connections with people who are ready to come in and do this. So hopefully we'll have someone in a couple of weeks and start getting the system up to speed. And they'll be assisting the listers through all the preparation. And like I said, NIMRIC will send down 1, 2, 3, 4, depending on how many permits and properties and the technicality of the properties that have to be inspected. They'll do the assessment in one day, leave, write the paperwork, come back, defend it at BCA if need be. So it's a much better system. They also provide all the technical experience when people have trouble in the NIMRIC system in the listers area of it, because there's a lot of data entry and sometimes it gets a little confusing. And there are a lot of questions of property valuation that they can assist with also, along with the state PBR. So it's just something that it's time to do, and eventually it will could save us considerable money down the road. But it is changing. As I said, there's no one running for this open position. I know many towns that are having trouble finding people who want to be listers. It requires going and taking courses, and to really become good at it, you really have to spend some time going to a number of courses, taking courses online, and it takes time. So this is kind of the future, is having a hub here and having the professional assessment work done on a contract basis. Because instead of paying year-round, we'll just pay one guy.
As needed.
Yeah, as needed.
Yeah.
You know, and they'll come in, there's a calendar for when everything comes in. Like the first batch of homestead declarations are coming in as people file all the taxes. And there's deadlines, April 1st, July 23rd, and there's just things. And if the lister, assessor, clerk, working with the listers has this all prepared, we can get through each deadline. If we have an issue with something, we can have someone from our contract company, Nimerick, come down, work this thing out, and we get the stuff in. And that's the important part, is to meet all the deadlines and keep this in. It's important that we get the grand list out in a timely fashion, so that we get the money in a timely fashion. You know, and this year we had quite a number of adjustments afterwards, which led to a lot of confusion. So we need to get that settled.
So are you ready to advertise for a clerk position?
Yep, we're gonna start, hopefully Wednesday, or at the latest the next Monday.
And I'm sure it was in our budget that we just approved, but can you remind me hours and pay rate for this clerk
The hours are
position?
gonna be 6 to 10 hours, and the pay rate will be 15 to 20, or a little bit higher, depending on the experience we get. Now, we get the right person, we might wanna go a little higher. But recall, we were paying $65 an hour to an assessor. So we're really cutting this way back. And for the amount of time and the training we'll provide for someone, it's a good way to come in and learn things. We'll have flexible hours, unlike, they don't have to be here the hours the listers are here, because as we go through the training, they can come in and get the job done.
And this person, this clerk, as we could expect, as we transition away from listers, as they retire and nobody offers to run for lister and take all those courses that you talked about, there's a chance for the number of hours to increase?
Sure, yeah. And that's something we can work out as we go down the line. And like I said, many towns are beginning to, well, everyone's having the same issues. No matter what branch of government it really is, these formerly volunteer or part-time positions are becoming very difficult to fill. And this can be a challenging position, especially because I've seen it with a couple of towns that were doing revals, and you know, they want an awful lot of time, and you need some expertise to do it too. So I think it'll work out in the long run. It's one of these, let's get it started. It's a good opportunity to get it started now with the two listers we have, who are fully in favor of doing this. So we'll move it forward, and we'll see what direction we go in.
And the hours, 6 to 10 hours a week, but the hours that this clerk is in the building, it could be flexible?
Yes. Discuss that with the listers. The listers office is currently 9 to 12 on Mondays and Wednesdays. But now the clerk does not have to be there during those hours. If it's more convenient, you know, back when I was doing zoning, I would work for several towns, and you're kind of looking for, people can make jobs out of doing this for several towns, and you get the expertise to come in, but you have to be a little bit flexible so they can get in here and do it.
Well, at least at first, I expect they would need to be here when the listers.
Yeah, they'd have to go have some time, and the listers can flex too to assist, to be here and go through things with them. And then we'll have training sessions with Chris from Nimerick that everyone will be involved in, the two listers and the new person. Because that was part of our agreement too, was the rate for them to come down and sit and have training sessions with our current listers, kind of bring them up to speed on some of the computer systems, and the new person will obviously need that.
Yeah.
The goal would definitely have someone in place within the next 2 or 3 weeks, month at the most, and have them off to the listers training after town meeting, because they always do that right after town meeting. And although they wouldn't be a lister, a good way to start learning.
Right.
So I think it'll work out.
Okay, without objection, shall we offer that Dave can advertise for the clerk position.
Yes.
Right.
And anyone out there who is looking to pick up 6 to 10 hours a week at $15 an hour or better, depending on qualifications, there might be a place for you
Yeah.
here.
I think, it'd probably be closer to 20, depending on your qualifications,
20,
an hour.
20 an hour, okay.
So it is gonna require some computer skills.
Okay, good. Okay, garage coal haul update.
Okay, well, let's start with the town garage. The garage doors, as we know, are the wrong color. They will be replaced. We had spec'd them out to one color. The manufacturer and the subcontractor for Russell made them the wrong color and put them up, and they just have to go. So I'm not sure what the time frame for that is. The interior is almost complete. The exterior is 90% complete, except for some site work. The big issue we have now is we've been going back and forth with several of the engineers last week on installing a POET system in the building. And this isn't the POET system that everybody thinks about around here, the PFOAs and all that. This has nothing to do with this. It has to do with metals in the water. But it's still a point of entry system. They can be filtered out. In fact, it's a totally different system than you would use for PFOA. We don't have that issue. But we need to filter out some of the metals that are in the water to get it permitted to open, which can happen wherever you dig a well. In fact, I think that probably this will settle down. Probably, but we don't know. So I was hoping that by today we would have a price and an estimate on what this would be. We always kind of had this wiggle room in the budget anyway, anticipating we might hit something. But unfortunately, I don't have the prices because we're going back. If you remember the last meeting, we upped the pump from 16 gallons per minute to 32 gallons per minute. We were back and forth about the water consumption, but the garage basically doesn't use much water, and it doesn't use a lot of water at one time. The type of pellet we're talking about for metals drops at about 5 psi, they're telling me, as water goes through it. And I haven't gotten the second part of that about what that means for the hose and the business end of the business. So, but because we have a break room, because there's an area to wash hands, you can't have metals involved in it, so we have to put this on. It's just a question of sizing and the cost of it, which, like I said, I was hoping they would have all gotten together for today, but I think everybody took the holiday today. Last Friday, we had Goldstone, who is our architect, KAS, our engineer, dealing with our water engineers. KAS is the water engineer, MSK is my initials here. MSK is our engineer for the project, and dealing with Colgan, who we've bought other POET systems from. And we're just trying to coordinate and calculate and fit it into the space we have in there with yet another subcontractor from Russell. So hopefully I'll have that number soon. But it's just something we're gonna have to do. And I think it's something we kind of anticipated. At some point, we'd have to do some water filtering. So that, and still by the end of the month, we expect to have it turned over to us. This is, as soon as it's decided, this is some pretty, straightforward plumbing. As soon as the engineers work out, the details of it. Everything else is pretty much in. If you haven't stopped by, see Bob, and give you a tour of the building. It came out very nice, I think. Very nice indeed. Any questions on the garage?
They got the heat turned on in there yet?
Yeah. It's a balmy 58 degrees. That radiant heat makes it feel good, though.
Oh, I bet it does.
Yeah.
Okay, look, when the trucks start going in there with snow on them, well, you're gonna appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. Yeah. There's a few things that got a little bit behind, the tapers for the sheetrock in the offices and things like that. So, the usual stuff that goes on in these things. But it should be signed over, like I said, by the end of the month. And then we'll actually finish sometime probably in the end of April when the rest of the site work can get done. But we should be moving in, starting to move parts and things like that in March. I would think.
When are you gonna start putting salt in the shed?
I don't know, I haven't really, I wouldn't even bother trying for this winter, just leave it, everything here. I mean, it's
Well,
already-
you gotta separate it yet anyway for the salt
Yeah,
and
and,
sand.
and what we wanna do too, is, it would be nice to plywood the interior of it, so that the salt doesn't start affecting it's basically bolts that hold the top to the bottom. And putting the plywood in just keeps the salt away from them. Yeah,
I'm missing something there.
yeah, I was too. It was thoroughly explained to me though. I'll have Mike tell you about it. It was thoroughly explained to me and it makes sense when you hear it, but yeah.
You
because-
mean up on the side of the blocks?
Yeah, on the side of the blocks in the interior, if you just plywood around it, then when the salt's on it, it doesn't start affecting the side, because it's corrosive, so
Well, sure it is.
after time it will.
But it shouldn't be if it don't get wet. If you don't get water there, that salt's not corrosive.
Well, I wouldn't be promising 100% that no water would ever touch the salt.
Yeah, it's a pretty big opening on one end of that building. There's
I mean, you could get a pretty
Plenty-
good breeze going in there.
plenty of room for rain to blow in, yeah.
I know, I know what you're saying, yeah, in theory, if it's always dry, but I'd rather,
Well, no, absolutely. I mean, any way to protect it, you wanna do that.
yeah, for a couple $100 of
Certainly.
plywood and something to do on a rainy day, it's, might be worthwhile. I know what you're saying, though, it should be dry, but we don't have doors. We can get doors, it'd be
Yeah.
big doors, too. And then Cole Hall. Cole Hall is essentially finished. I moved out of the trailer, I moved everything out of the trailer and all the computers and phones this weekend and today and set everything up. We have a little punch list to go through, and we already have our first meetings scheduled, actually. The Act 250 meeting for Parent Village, they asked if they could have it in Cole Hall, and I said, yes, we'll have folding tables, but we're ready. Well, we could start using the building. We'll move the rest of the things in next week, the week after. All the main things are in, all the offices are up and functioning, but it's just a question of moving stuff around where we're gonna put some final things. We did, when we had the electrical and the fire inspector in last week, we visited the balcony. And what we're gonna do is sheet rock across the front where it overlooks now what is the ceiling. And if we sheet rock that with fire resistant grade sheet rock, we can do light storage up there, which will take a little bit of the pressure off the rest of the building. Can't be like it was, and we don't want it like it was. And I still hope to shred 90% of what was up there. But even with the new storage when we built, the one we built, when we did the bathroom downstairs, the other storage is still really at it's a commodity over there. I am gonna look towards the school, and we're having a discussion of building a shed to put out by the firehouse, but all the property belongs to the school. So we can store the non-electronic voting equipment in a shed by the firehouse. So
Is that too heavy for the balcony?
It's really would be a big problem moving it. There's an incredible amount of it. It's all the stands and everything. I can't believe it all fit in the hallway.
How big of a stand are you looking for?
Nah, not too
Or a shed, I mean.
Not too big, but it would be twice the size of that table.
So you're looking like 8 by 12,
Yeah, 8 by 12, 10 by 12, something like that.
10 by 12, yeah.
You know, if we could do it, that's just a thought down the road. But you know, like I said, the storage in that building is pretty prime. Right now, we've moved it all into the new storeroom, and it's full. So it's like, so now there's nowhere to store anything else because the voting mix stuff took up the entire storeroom.
Yeah.
So-
But I mean, there was literally, I assume, a ton of paper and file cabinets up there and banker boxes that,
Yeah.
you know, I hope when you're done to one banker box from all of that stuff.
Well, yeah, what we need to do is but it still needs to be gone through.
Yeah, but I mean-
The back of both containers is pretty full, right?
Yeah, but it just seems like there ought to be, there's more than twice this table size up there in that balcony areas.
Oh, the paper stuff? Oh, yeah, that stuff's crazy.
No, I mean, for the voting stuff and all that. It
Oh,
seems
well,
like-
you know, you gotta think of it the other way. It's a unsafe, bad staircase that people are gonna have to carry probably 60 items down and out and onto the front and into the parking lot. 3 of them won't fit up there,
That's right, that's right.
so.
So yeah, there is a logic that says if you get a shed over
Yeah.
by the firehouse, you don't have so
You just
far to
lock it up
carry
and
it.
come
yeah.
back.
And I assume there's no extra space in the firehouse just to
No.
shove it in. Yeah.
No room in the firehouse.
Do they have a ton of paper they need to get rid of
Yeah.
like we do?
I think we're the kings of the paper around here. We do have a lot, and I do want to get rid of it. And we did sign up with Secure Shred, which will make it go a lot quicker because I'm going to go through when I can. Really, some of it is even moving back and forth from the trailer. You come across some stuff, and it's like that's going right in the shred box. Why is this even here? You know, it's there's stuff upstairs from a long time ago that was just like, well, when the treasurer was over, Henry Billows and all that stuff just came over to the building and it just got put up there. Then other stuff got put up there and more stuff was put up there. And it was just so many boxes of stuff was put up there. And that was actually what they don't want, is they don't want the weight up there again. And that much paper could really be a fire issue up there. But I'm all in favor, as soon as we can get it going, just start shredding it. It's terrible. It's terrible.
How much of it do we have to keep?
There's a whole list, of course, of what you have to keep. It's really not that much, though. The problem is that, you know, box A says that it's this. You open it and it's not. Or there's something in there that shouldn't be in there. And I don't like the idea of going, well, this says 1992, throw it in the shredder, and it turns out that something else was in there that we're supposed to keep. Or there's a document in there, which is my greatest fear that,
So you're gonna have to go through everything.
yeah. And you don't have to like look at every page, but you know, you have to go
You
through,
almost do.
check,
Yeah,
and you almost do.
yeah.
You almost do, but it's just, we're just gonna have to do it at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, this has been going on since before I got here. I find notes about going through the boxes and you can see the peak of excitement, like plunging as they get through it. But it's really gotten to a ridiculous part. We've stopped throwing stuff up there. But, you know, it's getting up the will to start going through all those boxes and heaving them. And we did have someone who was doing it, but she cannot come back, so, and it's hard to find somebody who wants to.
Well, how much of it, Dave, that we've gotta keep, can you
Scan-
microfilm or whatever?
We'll scan it all. Anything we have to keep, we'll scan. We don't need any paper. I mean, we don't need any paper, but it's there. And you know, like the little thing from Lord Shaftsbury I have on my wall, well, I found that up there. So that was given to us from people in the town of Shaftsbury in England. It's kind of like, you know, this is the stuff you don't want to see disappear just
Right.
because we're in a rush to get rid of something, you know, so.
Good keeps.
Yeah.
Good, yeah.
Yeah, you don't know. You could find anything. But yeah, when we're done, we probably will have one banker's box. And we'll just scan that right in and make files of it and be done with that box too. You know, because really, you don't need paper records.
Yeah.
In fact, the electronic records are safe because they're not even on site. You know, so,
And they're searchable.
yeah,
So if you want to find something, you
yeah.
type a search query instead of
These
going
are
through every
searchable.
piece of paper. Yeah.
These are searchable. Box B.
Old school.
Box B, area C. Yeah.
Right, right.
And then the next thing would be, I sent around something from Vermont Correctional Institute about industries, about furniture. We don't have any meeting table anymore. The fire department generously loaned me 3 folding tables. One's being used for Jim's office, 2 are being used for the meeting table. And I have a very modernistic look in my office of 3 Staples folding tables that I'm using as a L desk. When we emptied the second floor, 2 or 3 of their desks were of the old, you know, what was that stuff called? Press board,
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah, pressboard just kind of falls apart and it's been there forever, so we're actually down 2 or 3 desks right now. Everything's set up, so it's fine, but, we do need to think about some furniture. I went up to the Division of Building and Services surplus warehouse in Waterbury, and, you know, their stuff is worse than what we have here, to tell
Well,
the truth.
To be quite honest, I mean, you're gonna go to the expense of, making that office really nice over there and new
Yeah.
and fresh. You think you'd wanna go with fresh furniture
Yeah.
as well. That would make sense.
Yeah, and like the price for the table on here, this table, I remeasured, will have to be a little bit longer, but the price for the meeting table is, what, $803? So, if we get that, and that's a cherry veneer, it's not cherry wood.
Right,
That's
yeah.
$8,000. But, that would be, you're talking about a table for 20 years. It's not really costing you anything. With the desk, 3 of these desks that are on here, with the locking systems, which we do need.
Who's,
I mean,
who's the maker of the furniture again? It's right on there, isn't it?
Vermont Correctional Industries.
Yeah, okay.
They're made at, I think, in the St. Albans Correctional Institute. The state, or most state offices get their furniture from these.
From
From them, yeah.
They warranty the furniture for,
That's a good question. I didn't look for a warranty. I didn't ask them about a warranty, but I will ask about that.
Noticing the dimensions on the meeting table, of 30 inches is not going to be
wide enough.
depth enough. Yeah, we're going to probably want.
36 is the depth. 30 is the height.
It says 30.
Oh, 30 is they show 30 is the height and 30 is the
Slab end
width.
table.
And 96 is the length.
Yeah.
No, 30. Oh, they have a 30 on here. Well, my order was 36.
Yeah.
Yeah, because 3 feet is standard.
Yeah, but like this table here is probably 4 feet.
Wouldn't
you say?
No, it's 3, maybe 3.5. It's got to be close to 4. Yeah.
Something like 4 feet is probably going to be
4
closer
feet.
to what we want for getting people all the way around
I
it,
bet it is
for
4 foot.
DRB to lay out their big rolls of paper that they like to do.
Okay, we can look at 4 feet, but I think, yeah, we are kind of in a furniture bind.
Yeah, well,
I think Tim's right. 4 foot would be.
And it needs to be longer than 96 inches too. And that's 8 feet, but I have 2 tables up there, and I don't have the exact length, but it's gonna probably be closer to 12 feet.
I was going to say, there's such a thing as a 12.
Yeah, well, there's such a thing as whatever you,
Well, you get 2
Wanna
6s,
make-
put them
yeah,
together, I
yeah.
guess.
yeah. I mean, that might be that.
It's close to
Depends
4
on-
feet. That's 11,
That's 11.
4 across.
Yep, so it's 4 foot.
Yeah,
Yeah, if
Four
we're
feet.
if we need 12 feet, it might be debatable whether or not we want a 12-foot table or 2 6-foot tables.
2 6-foot tables, actually, because if you remember that
Well, you have
behemoth thing
options.
we used to have, the problem with it is, you can't do anything with it. If you had 2 6-foot tables, you
Right.
could do like we've done here, you can pick these 2 up.
And move them if you.
Yeah, in fact, these may be these tables. They look amazingly like them.
I like them,
Oh,
don't
that they were.
Yeah.
These were built by Department of Corrections. Yeah, that's probably.
I don't know,
entirely
but
possible.
when I'm looking at this diagram, I'm looking at that table, it looks very much like
That
it.
table's close to 4 feet.
Yeah, it looks to be about 8 feet long, which is. I mean, this is a real comfortable table for our meetings.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
4x8, which is what you have on here. That something like this would do us pretty well. I mean, we've certainly been comfortable in here.
Oh, you easily could do it with 4 in there, somebody on the end, and,
Yeah. So, see what a 4x8 costs.
okay, yeah, this would be
Yeah.
a foot wider, yeah. And then the,
Get the built-in USB chargers on
USB
the.
charge,
That's messing with.
that's a big option on it.
Yeah.
I mean, so if you wanna go forward, I will correct that and get some confirmed prices, and,
Get some confirmed prices and we'll,
because I think we can do that out of, the Hawkins Fund, or,
yep.
and it's just, the way I look at it, that if it's $4,000 in total, we're spending, $200 a year on furniture, because the furniture's gonna last for 20 years.
Yeah.
My Staples folding table is not gonna last for 20 years.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the meeting tables aren't used every day all
No.
the time, so
But if you're happy with that length,
this
Yeah.
length seems nice. And
Yeah, the
width,
table
I
just
the
like this,
would
I
be
think would work
perfect.
for us
Yeah.
really well.
and that pretty much does look exactly like this table.
Yeah.
And the cherry will be a little bit deeper color. I'm not sure, that might be the birch one. The only problem with corrections is they have very few actual pictures. But I did get pictures of different types of furniture so I could see the color tone, so the cherry looks about the best.
Mm-hmm.
All right, then for the next meeting, I'll bring some numbers in and we'll just move forward.
Okay. Sounds good.
Like I said, the rest of it, come visit tomorrow, and anybody out there, come visit, because the offices will be open and they're 90% done.
And the select board chairs, are we can upgrade those?
Well, we'll bring those in and we'll deal with that. We can upgrade those.
We bought new chairs
Yeah, they're not
a
that
year
old.
ago. Yeah.
Well, that was a
Joe?
year ago.
Joe, if you want a better chair, you'll have to bring your own. Because we have the best chairs in the building right now.
I think
How
you're
about,
right.
how about waiting list on chairs? I'm forcing Joan to get a new chair, because after moving it from the trailer the other day, I was like, man, she's gotta get a new chair.
Yeah. We had chairs that were death traps before. We
Yeah.
had to throw them out.
Yeah.
I actually had to take one out and throw it out to keep people from using it, because,
A little shaky in the knees with it.
well, and a lot of the,
Just wanted to go back for you.
well, yeah, one like wanted to turn into an instant recliner when you got it. Gets a little dangerous, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, especially in the public areas.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, stop up and look up tomorrow. The place is, did an excellent job. Eddie Scholl did an excellent job, and Hathaway's been great with all the electric. It's all been a great job.
I love the lights, the ceiling
Yeah,
lights. in
the
there,
lights
yeah.
are great. The ceiling
LEDs,
fans
yeah.
will be excellent in the winter. We'll have no complaints on heat from the two offices. I'm glad I'm on a different service, but, because those rooms can warm up. But the interesting thing is, you open the doors, you can leave the thermostat at like 60, and it heats the meeting room.
So is it a dual zone?
Yeah, there's a zone for my office. I had them add a zone for my office, because I'm the only full-time person.
Mhm.
So
It
I
doesn't
like,
make sense.
I like to
heat the
crank
whole-
it down when nobody's there, and, which is pretty much afternoon, there's nobody there. So, and some days, I might be the only person there, so, my office, which I always keep low anyway, because I don't like heat, but, there's no point in heating all that dead space.
Right, that's right.
It's just
yeah.
not worthwhile. And that way, nobody hangs out in the meeting room, because it's chilly.
Freeze them out.
Yeah. Let's see. That's it for Cole Hall, unless there's any questions.
All right. The only thing left is other business.
Rob Store got to me today. Our .org is expiring, and he wants to know if we want to redo it. Now, I redid .net, so that .net defaults to .gov when somebody goes on, and I think we should do the same thing with .org, so we keep the name Shaftsbury.org. We own it now, and if we redo it, everything will default to .gov.
Yeah. Rob and I talked a little bit about that. Yeah, we definitely want to do that for maybe another year or two, but I want to see us get away from those, because people are still using them. Sometimes it causes it hiccups every now and then. It shouldn't, but occasionally it does. But what we're talking about here is we started out as Shaftsbury.org, and then we went to Shaftsbury.net, and then we realized we really should be a .gov website, and so we're now, and forever will be, ShaftsburyVT.gov, but because those old websites had been in use, they just redirect people to
the
new one.
.gov,
So
yeah, to the .gov.
for now, and maybe another year or two, we'll keep paying for these old websites and keep redirecting people to here. But we need to get away from that. In fact, it was just the other day that Ben Hewlett, the energy coordinator, ran into a hiccup that had to do with the expiring .net or .org, and
Yeah.
it's just something to keep track of. And
Yeah,
I
but
think-
when we get rid of it, it'll be noted that it's gonna stop.
What I think we should do is, I think we're already doing, is when somebody puts it in, they first see a message that says you are being redirected to shaftsburyvt.gov. So every time they put in the wrong one, they're reminded to go to the
Yeah.
new one. I'm sure at some point we'll just have to stop and it'll fail, and they'll call Dave and ask him what the website is, and then they'll finally change their bookmark. But
Yeah,
But someone could then use .org
yeah,
and .net.
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so we'll do it for another year.
Yeah.
How long?
I'll see what, I didn't get back to Bob, Rob, I wanted to make sure that we were all on the same page. Sometimes they want it for more than 1 year, we'll see what it's pretty
Yeah.
cheap, 1 year to the next.
It
We'll
is.
see
It's
what
pretty cheap. It's just another thing to keep track of, and
Yeah.
another thing that expires every couple of years and then goes down, and we have to scramble to
Yeah.
get it back up. So,
Yeah.
yeah, try to arrange so that they both kind of end at the same time.
And then just a reminder, I'm not gonna be here tomorrow, I'll be in New Hampshire, and I'll be here Wednesday, but not Thursday and Friday. Going to Maine for a few days.
Okay. Okay.
I think that's about it.
Okay. I did not catch any action items tonight. Did anybody
No.
hear anything we promised to do? The only one I'm carrying forward that hasn't been addressed is that our talk about consolidating various reserve funds, or maybe liquidating some like the health fund and just moving the money over. We have decided we're going to postpone that until after town meeting, but I'm carrying that along so we don't forget. Did you want an executive session tonight?
No.
Okay. I think I looked at an old agenda today and was thinking maybe I'd forgotten to put it on there. Okay, good. In that case,
I have a question with Dave. Where did we come up on the gravel for if we're gonna haul it from Wallingford or what?
Oh, yeah.
We've not gone anywhere with that.
Well, you're not using much gravel now anyway, but,
No, and it's kind of a back burner thing until I clear out some other things. We are going forward with the bid. I'll probably write that next week and put that in the paper next week.
for gravel,
Just for trucking.
just
for
trucking.
And just see what we have so that if we need something from Wallingford, we have someone we can just call and do it.
Are we gonna at some point figure out maybe putting the bid out for gravel?
That's a point we can discuss. Yeah,
But that's gonna have to be on the recommendation of Mike, because there's no point of bid gravel at any, or get gravel at any price if it ain't usable.
yeah, it's kind of a, we've gotten a lot of good gravel. And then we hit some rough spots. And I think what we're trying to get over is a rough spot now where we've gotten some unacceptable material. So I don't know, we'll have to discuss that thoroughly and see about going out to bid for what types and, because like, they always will provide us, as will Wallingford, with their price list. And, I mean, we could try a bid to see if they'll give us something under their price list. But then, I don't know of any town that bids their gravel. Perhaps they do, but.
Well, that's one of our biggest budget items.
Yeah, but if that's the thing, if that's why they put out the price list, so that it's uniform. Because if they have to start taking bids from each individual town, that's gonna be an interesting,
Well, the problem is, I mean, I wanna give Peckham all the business we can,
yeah,
but if his price is 20 to 40% more than another equivalent product, how could you do that?
well, I have not personally seen any gravel that far spread.
Wasn't there?
I mean, laying on the ground in Wallingford, it might be considerabably less.
Well, you're
than
gonna
being
still
loaded
gotta
next
turn the
door.
truck
Then we
in.
gotta truck it down here, exactly.
but
Right.
wasn't there a comparison Probably, we weren't comparing apples to apples, it was apples to oranges.
Well, it
Between
depends on what
their-
material you're looking at and where it's coming from.
I thought that's what I guess the attraction to Wallingford was, it was a better gravel. It
Right-
was smaller,
right
it
now,
packed
yeah.
better.
Yeah.
I thought that was the,
Well,
But I will just defer all this to Michael, who knows a lot more about gravel than I do.
okay.
So maybe it'd be best for him to be here for this, but they were out plowing.
right,
But, yeah, I mean, I know what you're saying, you don't wanna be spending a premium when we could get the same, if you could get equivalent or better material for the same price or for a little bit more.
right.
What's the
And
best
that's
value?
part of what we'll find out when we get a trucking contract, was the trucking contract will be by the ton. And then you just do the tonnage price from Wallingford or anywhere else for that matter,
Right.
and see how it compares. And then it comes down to, like it always does, who's providing the quality material?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I had bought a lot of material from Daly's Quarry in Hoosick.
Mhm.
And I left one night, I didn't get done, and I left the load in the truck. And it rained that night. And the next day I couldn't get it out of the truck because it turned into a big mud pie. And, you know, I mean, material like that at any price is no good.
Yeah. And that's, you know, and sometimes things are going well and a load comes in. I mean, we even had it with the RAS, you know, we
Yeah.
cycled asphalt shingle, load came down, we wouldn't use it.
Right.
Because it wasn't right. So, you know, that was easy because they just had.
Right. I mean, I'm just trying to look out for the best.
Yeah, no, I understand. And that's part of what we'll find out, like I said, when we get the trucking per ton.
Right.
And then you can do a true comparison with Wallingford.
I mean, there's really, as far as that goes, and as I understand what we use, there's probably only one material, which should be finished gravel, that would apply to, because the rest of it, there's stone and there's all different sizes of material that you don't use a lot of.
Yeah,
So I would think that maybe sanded gravel would be
let's see.
the items.
Yeah. Well, let's pick this up when Mike's here.
Yeah,
Let's-
no,
let's,
I just wanted to make sure it didn't get forgotten.
No, it's still there, and and a few other things will probably go out next week. To start the ball rolling on some of these things.
All right. Okay.
Are we gonna need to pay bills at town meeting?
Yeah, that's glad you brought that up. We probably will have to have a meeting before a town meeting, or a special meeting the day before or the day after, just to pay the bills that week,
Mm-hmm.
because that is the first Monday. I mean, it's kind of inconvenient to do it there, so I don't know if we want to do a special meeting earlier in the day, or we could meet here for a we'll meet at Cole Hall at 6 o'clock, take 15 minutes to do a warrant, and then come over here and have town meeting.
I think another possibility is like 6:45, because the school part is usually done well before 7,
Oh, yeah,
and we could just have a special meeting, pay the warrants, and then
yeah.
kick off the regular meeting
Yeah,
at
yeah, we
7.
could do it right here, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, it's.
Okay, that's it. I just want to remind folks at home, if maybe you tuned in late, we do have some audio difficulties here tonight, but the microphones are recording, although they're not broadcasting. So if you want to better hear of what went on tonight, give us a couple of days. Give Cat TV a couple of days, and then through shaftsburyvt.gov, you can link to tonight's meeting and watch it on YouTube. And now I am looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Ken,
Second.
second by Joe. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We stand adjourned.